Welcome to the Gen X Journey podcast. Dive into all things important to Gen Xers, from advice on aging parents, expert interviews, product reviews, and heartfelt conversations. So put down the joystick, grab your Walkman, dust off your old yearbooks, and welcome to the Gen X Journey.
Everybody, welcome back to the Gen X Journey podcast. What was so funny about that?
It was like we were all just waiting.
You're holding your breath.
I feel like I held my breath there for a second, and I just had to.
You did.
We all did. Both Bill and I were like, "You about to pass out?" Oh. By the way, we're totally keeping all this in. I don't even care.
So we're doing this Gen X Journey podcast thing, and we're talking about 1989 right now. And so far we've talked about sports, TV and movies, and today Keith's going to take us through 1989 and technology. I'm laughing because whenever 1989 technology came out, none of us were wearing glasses, and all three of us were wearing glasses.
Isn't that the truth?
Without them now.
No kidding.
Well,
Anyway, so Keith, take us through the technology world of 1989.
I have a lot to live up to because you all did awesome jobs on your all's episodes. That was good stuff, fellas.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm
so
sure you will be superior to us.
Well, and it's a fun journey, and I kind of alluded to this at the end of Noel's episode, last episode. This is kind of the time. A lot of what I'm going to talk to ties into some of the technology we've introduced before, kind of the leading up to it. And some things it's just going to make you flat out smile and go, oh, happiness. Okay. So, in 1989, it really was kind of a surprisingly big year, honestly, in technology. A lot of innovations, foundational innovations kind of shaped the realm of technology to move forward. And so what I thought I would do today is just kind of go subject by subject into different areas of technology and just kind of discuss some of the biggest hitters as we go. So the first thing, and we have talked about this gentleman, I know, at least in 2 other episodes, and that was the gentleman named Tim Berners-Lee. Did anybody remember what's significant about him?
Yeah, he created, I guess, the Windows. I remember we talked about him in a previous.
Yeah, I mean, very, very close. So he worked at CERN, CERN, and he actually proposed and developed the idea of linking documents using hypertext over the internet. So HTML, all of that stuff. So basically, he kind of made the foundation to what the World Wide Web is that we use today. So yeah, so we talked about him several times, but this was really the year that he proposed and developed hypertext markup language, or what he would call hypertext over the internet. So pretty cool there. And just one of those things that, is there any moment, including what we're probably all on our computers doing right now, trying to find some history about it through everything that's gone on through the World Wide Web, that we're actually frantically Googling as I'm talking about some facts behind this. I know in the sports episode and even the movies episode, we had a research department also Googling to make sure they've got some support for us, and also to tell us apparently that we're idiots on the Calgary Flames, but that's okay. So anyway, we won't go back into that one. That was traumatic, but anyway, that's what's pretty neat about this. And to obviously keep up with the computer and the computing power, processors started getting stronger and stronger. And this was the year that Intel came up with the Intel 80486, the 8486, or also known as the i486 processor. So it was basically a major leap in microprocessor technology from its predecessor. It had a lot of to do with kind of helping with built-in math co-processing, and just kind of had a kind of paved the way for more powerful PCs. You can kind of see these chips getting stronger and stronger for things like Windows-based computing, because it wasn't very far after this that we're getting into, Windows 3.1 before 95. So all of these processors and these speeds are starting to pave the way for what we can do on a more personal level with a computer. So that's one of the neat things as far as the computing world goes. One other thing, switching the gears in the computing and the internet world, was something that is still pretty widely used today, and that is a Nintendo Game Boy. So in April of 1989, it basically revolutionized handheld gaming, introduced icons like Tetris. Anybody ever played Tetris? Don, you ever played Tetris? That's one of our favorites. And Pokemon came out a few years later. That's one of the ones that was a really, really fun thing for Nintendo. So Nintendo we've talked about NES and some of those things. They were, and you mentioned even, I think in the last episode, talking about playing Duck Hunt on the TV screen, right?
Oh, yeah.
So this is where we're starting to transition to being able to take those games with us. And so that first Game Boy, definitely monochrome, if I remember right, wasn't the greatest thing, but I tell you what, it changed the way that we game forever. Going over to friends' house, bringing games. So pretty cool deal. Did you all have one?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%.
I didn't have the first generation. It took me several years before I got one, but I can tell you we have a whole closet full of them now from where the girls had some of the more Game Boy Advanced and Game Boy Color, and there was some fun stuff. So, but not to be outdone, this was the year of the U.S. release of what the three of us can arguably say may be the best gaming console of all time. Can some of you? Sega Genesis, baby.
Yes, sir. Yes,
that's
sir.
right. Coach K. So it was launched earlier in Japan, but the U.S. got the Sega Genesis in 1989. And this was basically the Sega versus Nintendo console war era, where each one was trying to outdo. Obviously, with the Nintendo Switch still going on, the console wars was definitely beaten by, or won, I guess I should say, by Nintendo.
Yeah.
I tell you, I loved the Sega Genesis. I loved it. I'm telling you. Even they had the what was the one after that? The Sega.
Can't remember. It's like Gamecast? No.
It was something like that. Gamecast. Yeah. Was that what it was? Something like that. I'm sure research department.
But it wasn't Sega. It was actually just Gamecast was the platform.
Okay. Yeah. But it was kind of a Sega backed gaming system, I think, right?
Yeah.
But it was so fun too. But yeah, the Genesis though, playing Madden and playing Coach K. I mean, you just couldn't beat it. I
remember the first game that there was a game that came with the Genesis consoles called Altered Beast.
Oh,
and I remember watching that game and going, I mean, this is basically like being in the arcade. Like I can be in the arcade
in
my house now. Like it's incredible. And I mean, you go back and look at that 16-bit gaming, technology compared to what we have today. I mean, there's just no comparison at all.
So much joy, though. So much
back
joy.
then. I mean, it was amazing. It was a big leap from the NES 8-bit platform to the Genesis. I mean, it was crazy.
Absolutely.
All right. So Noah just handed to me from the research department. So the game system that followed the Genesis was actually the Sega Saturn.
Oh, yeah.
It was released in 94. And then in 1988,
Dreamcast.
I'm sorry, 1988 was the Dreamcast. Correct?
Dreamcast,
yeah.
I enjoyed the Great Dreamcast. That was a cool one.
That was cool.
Yeah, so good stuff there. But yeah, so lots of fun between all of those. Sure enjoyed each one of those. So now let's move over to let's go switch from gaming to communications, because this still ties into what we're talking about as we transition into modern technology. And this was the year that the first commercial dial-up internet providers, ISPs, if you will, started appearing. Nice one.
I wasn't on mute. Sorry.
No, it was not. Wow. Speaking of communication,
I'm telling you, that was well communicated.
That was early caveman communication.
It was.
Yeah.
Hello, my name's Grog.
Grog, go out date with me.
I lost my train of thought. That was so brilliant. That
I,
was so
I
good.
can't believe you lost your train of thought with that.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
what's amazing about it is we basically just helped Steve fix his microphone to make him sound so much better right now. And so
Yeah.
that burp came out so much better now than it would have any previous episode. That's what makes me proud about that.
we would have previously barely heard that burst,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
now
Yeah.
Now it was in the living room with us.
surround
Yeah.
sound. Yeah,
That's
it's
right.
amazing.
The
All right,
world,
Yeah.
the
you
world
were,
is welcome.
That's
but
right.
you were talking
Yeah,
about
the ISPs.
You were talking about communication.
Uh-huh.
ISPs. There you go.
Yeah, two big things in communication. The first internet service providers, the ISPs, started appearing for dial-up, beong, beong, right? And so, and as a funny segue, so yesterday, yesterday was the last day that AOL had dial-up service, right? Wasn't
Yeah.
that right?
Yeah.
On September 30th, 2025, right? So
Really?
dial-up, yeah. Yeah, so kind of interesting that we're talking about the first, but we just pretty much saw our last dial-up yesterday. Crazy.
I'm like speechless that there's actually were people that were like having to they had to like end the service because people were still
Yeah.
using it.
Yeah.
And we had to say, we're sorry, we're stopping this now. Like,
we can no longer support this. Like, it's amazing they kept it going for this long.
as long as it
Yeah.
is. I
Yeah.
know it.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's crazy. Yeah, we're recording this on October 1st, so of 2025. So just yesterday was the last
Wow.
dial-up ringy dingy. Pretty crazy. But also
Ring-a-dingy.
switching gears, so communications of sorts. But so the first high definition television was demonstrated in Japan by a company called NHK in 1985, kind of showcasing the future of broadcast technology and what the television could look like. It's funny. I mean, go ahead, Noel. Tell me what you're thinking. Probably have similar thoughts.
Yeah, I just remember the aspect ratio of that was different from like our TV's aspect ratio back then. It wasn't a 16:9; it was the wider screen.
Yeah,
and I mean, I just remember going, well, what are the TV cameras going to be like? Are they going to have to be like movie cameras?
Yeah.
Like I just remember I remember seeing the picture and just being like, it's unbelievable. It's probably going to be about 30 grand for a TV.
Yeah.
And you just assume because TVs weighed so much that it was going to need like a crane to get it into your house.
Exactly.
But then I was like the TVs, like, this doesn't seem practical. Like, it didn't seem practical back then, but boy, has technology changed rapidly in that area.
Well, I remember, and this is some years later when DVDs and Blu-rays and all that came out. But, I had a hard time, if I'm being this is a Gen X comment I'm about to have. I had a hard time not buying the standard definition movies.
Yeah.
Because I hated because I still had the roundish TVs before then, and I hated seeing the widescreen version because I felt like we didn't use half the screen, and so a lot of my old DVDs and things like that are still I still have the standard version because of that, and now it looks really weird, but it's really funny to think that and then high definition TV was kind of the start to that, just a whole different way of things being looked. So interesting.
I sort of miss the days of having your DVD collection and CD collection and all that stuff. And of course, Robin still does the estate sales. Is amazing, just the treasure trove of movies. And,
oh man,
video. I mean, a lot of VCR tapes still out there. She did had 8 tracks recently, so that was crazy to see.
That's wild.
Have you guys seen this is a little bit off topic, but not really. It was how to roast your cowboy fan spouse, and there's a guy sitting on the couch. He's got his cowboy hat on, his cowboy jersey on. You can hear the game in the background. He's watching the Cowboys play, and he's irritated because they're losing. And his wife is like, I think I'm going to buy a VCR. And he was like, why would you ever want to buy a VCR? And all the things that we ever want to watch, it's all digitized these days. You can watch everything online. You can watch DVDs. You can watch, like, why in the world would you ever want to buy a VCR? And he was like, well, if I want to watch like a show from back then, back in those days, I mean, they only make it in VCR. And he was like, what in the world would you ever want to watch from back then? And she said,
I know where this is going.
last time the Cowboys played the Super Bowl.
That's awesome.
It's so awesome.
It is so good. And then you can see his face, and then she just dies laughing.
That's terrible, but beautiful. That's so funny.
It is funny. I wanted to send it to my little brother, who's a big Cowboys fan, but I was nice and didn't. So.
You're a good man. Man, I tell you what, I remember when I used to be a Cowboys fan. It's just, man, it's hard to like them anymore. But anyway. Well, you were talking a little bit about the movie cameras and the stuff that you were going to be able to use to record these high definition. So it's funny that you mentioned that. So in consumer technology, in 1989 is when the Sony Handycam, the new 8mm version of the Handycam camcorder, became mainstream. So they had been out previously, but this is when you could really go to what would be the good one? Silo. What were some of the stores back then that you could pick up technology? Best Buy wasn't the big thing then. Service merchandise, right? Yeah. Silos, service merchandise.
The most messed up ordering process I've ever seen.
And there's no technology related to it at all.
None.
Zero. And then
was that the one where they had the conveyor that they would just push the boxes out? I remember that.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And then Willie's Ice House comes back and is like, hold my beer, You ever been to Willie's Ice House?
I don't guess I have.
Yeah.
It's so screwed up the way of the ordering. I still
stand in line to order, then you don't actually take your order. You order, they write it down. Then you go sit down at this table. Then the waitress comes over, verifies your order. Then it goes to the kitchen. So
how backwards?
Twice.
It's wild. Weird. It's really, really, really wild.
I need to go to that now just to experience that.
It's strange, and I've been there so many times, and I still don't get it right. I don't understand, but I'm resistant to
try to keep you on your toes.
Yeah. Anyway, sidebar.
No, it totally makes sense. But yeah, the camcorders, you could see everything was starting to become more portable. So we had the Game Boy, then we had these camcorders that were becoming more mainstream, and the next thing that was that really hit the pinnacle of its start were portable CD players. So it wasn't necessarily in 1989 they started, but this is when you see more camcorders, you see more of these small devices coming, and everybody having them with their big, we don't have the earbuds. We had the foam covered earphones with the wire top, right? So a lot of that with the Walkmans, but these were when the portable CD players, and I'm pretty sure this was the year Noel has had a catastrophe over there.
Sorry. I'm really doing my best to not freak out, but
y'all are doing a great job of really making sure that I am not able to focus between Steve's burp and what happened over there? Did you spill something?
I spilled this whole cup of water on my wife's craft table that has a photo album on it. So I need to
call it timeout.
Quick timeout. Yeah,
okay, we can do that. Yeah, we took a quick pause to our audience for a little station identification there while Noel was able to recover a catastrophic state. So sorry about that, but we just system. That's right. Which did not come out in 1989, by the way. It was there well before then. Thankfully. But so that was the portable CD players, and so other innovations. This might be relevant to Noel for right now. The first DSLR photography beginnings happened. Fujifilm developed the Fuji DSX, an early digital camera prototype, one that would have prevented a photo album from getting water on it because it was digitally saved. That's why I tied that in. Just kidding. So, but that was basically a part of the. You see, I did that. But yeah, part of the digital photography wave, just early beginnings of the DSLR, which is slowly being replaced by mirrorless, but arguably a lot of photographers still like the DSLR cameras. And you always want to put the R at the end of that.
I was going to say, who doesn't like?
Yeah, I know, right? Oh, good times. I'm so glad you all caught on to that.
Oh, man, I was really throwing my guard here. I was like, not going to say it. Not going to that.
So, but other innovations that came out at this time was a thing called the data glove. How did I flood the backyard? Apparently, I flooded the backyard, Noel. So you're not the
Seriously?
only one.
We
I
got
literally
two
had a
water
text come
events going on
had
here.
a text come through from Dawn that said you flooded the backyard, and I don't know what that means. So I'm going to continue anyway.
Steve,
Yeah.
it's your turn. What did you flood?
Yeah, what are you fixing to spill water
Nothing
on?
yet, but gosh.
What have we
man.
destroyed with water tonight?
Yeah,
still-
literally just a text
Jeez.
message come through. You flooded the backyard. That she went outside to check on the dog. My guess is we have one of those water feeders that they stop, and it probably broke again and is leaking everywhere. Great.
Nice.
Anyway, yeah, we're moving on. So we're gonna get I'll get on to for that later. We're just gonna move on. So so one of the unique innovations that came out was a product called the Data Glove. Have you heard of the Data Glove?
That does not.
Have you heard of this thing?
Was it the Nintendo thing?
So it basically was a precursor to the Nintendo Power Glove, which is what you're talking about, which actually came out in the same year. So the Data Glove was a $10,000 device created by VPL Research, and it basically was used by scientists in NASA for the basic beginnings of virtual reality. It was kind of a consumer version, which moved over to the Power Glove from Nintendo. Was a consumer version. It had significant compromises in its abilities and its inner workings, I guess, to make it more affordable to a consumer. So obviously, it just wasn't quite lived up to the hype of this Data Glove. So the Data Glove was kind of a neat scientific a product that came out to help with NASA and some things back then, but not really one that was mainstream, but a kind of a unique VR intro. So again, we're all making these changes to what we're doing today. And this was just kind of the brass roots, of that time. So anyway, there's not a whole lot of stuff that was out there in 1989, but it was an interesting enough year that I thought so software, if you all remember Corel Draw. So that came out at that point. The Motorola MicroTac, one of the first commercially available mobile phones. It was released in 1989. Kind of the potential of it was an analog device that's potential.
It was a flip phone, wasn't it?
I don't remember if the MicroTac. Yeah, I don't think MicroTac was a flip, but yeah, the StarTAC was the one that everybody knew about.
Everybody had.
Yeah. So I think it was, but actually, you know what? You say that. I think you're kind of right. It wasn't the true flip phone, but I think what it was the keyboard flipped open to where you'd open it where the keyboard part. So it wasn't the whole thing like the StarTAC. Yeah, I think you were right though. I think it did have a little flip to it.
Little flip.
Yeah.
Little flip.
So, and then one of the precursors to the JPEG was called fractal image compression. And it was kind of an algorithm for a way to archaically and very, very basically store digital imageries. In fact, it was mostly used to find self-similarities and decoding and things was fast, but it really wasn't the high compression detail of the others that we're used to today. But it was definitely video compression ratios of 25-1, things like that. But it was just, again, starting to get into the idea that there's some really neat things coming to be, and this is just the beginnings of all the things we do. How many JPEGs do we have on our phone right now? All of these things that are just precursors right now. So you think about it, you've got a MicroTac phone. Who would have ever thought that could be able to be touchscreen, storing pictures, searching the web from this guy Tim Berners-Lee, all of these things, and listening to, instead of discs, listening to all your MP3s on it. It's crazy to think that all of this technology is now wrapped into one thing that we can't live without in day to day. And this is a precursor. That camcorders, right? Even the video, right? All of this that we're talking about that we had to pay for, all of these different devices are now available. And you all have seen that picture where it shows that this is the phone and this is all of the different products that go into this one device. I'm sure you've seen that picture. Yeah. Really, really cool picture. But anyway, that's basically the gist and the story behind the 1989 technology. Not huge, lots of things, but some significant things that were going to pave the way for what we do every day. So pretty cool.
Pretty cool. Sure. Yeah, it was like a lot of building blocks that were kind of falling into place. I mean, it's easy to look back now and say, well, this was needed before that was possible, and this was done to make this possible, and they're all precursors to everything that we have today. It's it's really kind of cool to take a little walk down memory lane. Yeah,
it is. Oh, and finally, the first commercial GPS satellite was launched.
Yeah,
forgot about that one too.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yep. That was a previously a military only technology that they had. They had it in the Gulf War, and they were like, that was the first war that GPS was used pretty heavily by the military, and there was a decision made to like release it to the public, but they were like, there's not a lot of satellites. They're going to get overloaded if we release it to everybody.
Right.
Remember, like they had the TomToms and stuff like that. Like that's what the military had, was a device that sat on the dash in the cars, or whatever vehicle it was being operated in. And so the first commercial version of that, for the public use, was also that handheld device. But anyway, that was. And then now we have it everywhere. It's like, how do you get from point A to point B without it? Like you can't.
Crazy.
For the most part.
I couldn't even imagine. And again, in our phone, right?
Yeah.
Another thing.
Yeah. Our phone is a GPS device too.
It is crazy. Good stuff though. Thanks for letting me share that with y'all. I thought that was a fun little nostalgic thing.
We did everything we could to derail that, and you did a great job.
You all made it an awesome challenge. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Between Steve's gas and my accidents, like you did it, man.
Dawn even kicked in there.
Yeah, well, I'm telling you, but between you all, you did liquid and gas. Just don't do a solid, okay? Do me a solid and don't do a solid. How about that? So, yep. Upcoming episodes will be the 1989 music episode, as well as music that we can relate to today that might be something new and mainstream that we might enjoy. So, I'll catch y'all in the next one. I think it will be too. I'm looking forward to. I kind of browsed a little bit of the music of '89. It's awesome. There's a lot of cool stuff in there, and I can't wait to share that with everyone, and just also try to uncover something new that we can maybe pop in our CD, our portable CD player in 2025. I'm kidding, but anyway, some new music hopefully coming out that we'll be able to enjoy. So, All right, man. Well, we'll appreciate it, and we'll talk to everybody in the next one.
Thanks, everybody.
The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed in the Gen X Journey podcast belong solely to the hosts and guests and do not necessarily represent the views or opinions of any entity they are associated with. The information provided is for entertainment and informational purposes only and should not be considered professional advice. Listeners